Willie breaking news, something big is about to happen in gold right now. Has some breaking news about the stolen Fort Knox gold and what President Trump has just done about it. Here's the details. The Eberhart that Willie is referring to in the interview has nothing to do with Silver Doctor's own Paul $50 Eberhart. Just for the record. That said, Willie was just interviewed on the X22 Report Spotlight. Willie makes some very big announcements about gold. They are quite shocking. Gold is not the only subject discussed in this timely interview. This interview has it all. Some of the topics, but not all, include, in not exactly the order listed below, Deutsche Bank COMEX, Saudi oil President Trump and Steve Mnuchin missing $21 trillion trade deficit and national debt, the gold standard sealed indictments. The interview is nearly an hour and 45 minutes long, so you might need to carve out different times to listen to the interview below in its entirety. Notice that Jim stated that the gold price will be some 13 times higher and the silver price will be 20 times higher. Many people are quick to discount Jim and his news and theories, so let's assume Jim is half right. That means gold will be 6.5 times higher and silver will be 10 times higher. If he is half right, that would give us a gold price of $8,450 and a silver price of $168.50. Now, doing that math, we would see that would indicate a gold to silver ratio of 50, which is historically high. Don't let today's GSR or 77 fool you. That ratio is historically extremely high, and today's ratio is not based on reality, but based on the price-suppressing naked shorting of metals on the COMEX. In fact, $50 thinks that silver will ultimately reach parity with gold, as in a 1-to-1 ratio. That's right. I think that 1 ounce of silver will ultimately be the same price as 1 ounce of gold. Will I be alive then to see it? Who knows, but that's not the point. The point is in the math. Silver could even be worth more than an ounce of gold in the distant future, because think about this: resources are finite, and most of the silver is used up for industry while most of the gold mined throughout history is still above ground, so there will come a point where there could actually be less silver around than gold, as in silver becoming even more rare than gold. Think about this for a second. And then think about this, which is why I also think that silver can reach a parity with gold. There's 4 precious metals: gold, palladium, platinum, and silver. Current prices: gold $1,303, palladium $1,005, platinum $908, silver $16.85. Those are approximations, not exact. Now think about this: average the price for gold, palladium, and platinum and you get about $1,075 per ounce of precious metal. The average price of all 4 precious metals, gold, palladium, platinum, silver, is still about $810. And what is the price of silver today? Less than $17. Amazing. And to think, silver is so rare and valuable, that it's called precious. And it's so precious that if silver would be distributed to everybody in the world, there would not even be enough of it to give everybody on earth an ounce. And to think, silver is so precious, that Judas sold out Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for a mere 15 ounces, 30 shekels, of shiny PHYZZ. And here we sit in 2018 with silver at less than $17. I don't think so. Silver's price is nowhere near silver's value. So perhaps Jim misspoke when he said that silver will go up in price 20 times. Perhaps Jim meant to say 200 times? If that is the case, then a move in the gold price 13 times higher and a move in the silver price 200 times higher would put us at a gold to silver ratio of 5. Much closer to my estimate of parity at some point in the future, much closer to the rate that silver is mined of the ground compared to gold, 9-to-1, as Keith Neumeyer, CEO of the world's purest silver miner, points out, and much closer to the U.S. bimetallic gold and silver standard ratio of 16-to-1 as defined by the Coinage Act of 1972. But I digress. Do the research and come to your own conclusions about debt, the dollar, fiat currency, money, gold, and silver. There is an overall point here: the US dollar is dying. Debt-based fiat currencies always do. And gold and silver will reassert themselves. Gold and silver always do. Stack accordingly. $50 about the author U.S. Army Iraq War combat veteran Paul $50 Eberhard has an as in Information Systems and Security from Western Technical College and a BA in Spanish from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Paul dived into gold and silver in 2009 as a natural progression from the prepper community. He is self-studied in the field of economics, an active amateur trader, and a silver bug at heart. Finger on the button. Bo Governor says UK is preparing for the global financial system reset. Mark Carney's saying New World Order, new financial system, now is the time, and great change. Let's connect the dots. We talk about the coming reset all the time. We talk about debt reset, debt jubilee, monetary reset, global reset, we've called it different names. That's just a few examples. And many experts are talking about it. Jim Willie, Craig Hemplinet, Zhang, Jim Rickards, Bill Holter again, that's just a few of the names. There are many more. The race is definitely on as to who will be dictating the terms of the reset. Everybody has their eyes on China and Russia, thinking they join forces to form the dominance in the global economy to push out the dollar and elevate China to world reserve currency status, or elevate a combination of China and Russia to world reserve currency status with a gold and/or silver backing in this new monetary system, perhaps even with a return to gold and silver via a Chinese gold-backed yuan and a Russian silver ruble. Well, it's not only the East that is actively working on the global reset. England seems to frantically be in the race as well. Yesterday, Bank of England Governor Mark Carney gave a speech, and it was basically all about the coming reset. That phrase that we all can't stand, the New World Order. Yup. It's coming. It's a very long, super boring speech, but I've read between the lines, and I want to show you some of the thing he has said, so that you can come to your own conclusions as to what is going on. To me, it speaks to the end of the dollar-dominated world and the coming reset and reordering of the global monetary system. Here's some of the things he said in no particular order. Bold and red, bold added by $50 for emphasis. The bank recognizes that a new economy, a new world and new demographics demand a new financial system. While we prepare for great change, we will be guided by one constant, our mission to promote the good of the people we all serve. This infrastructure must be overhauled now that the economy is on the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution and our demographic challenges are intensifying. And rebalancing of the global order is proving as dramatic as it was in Montague Norman's time. Such profound changes demand a new finance. We now have a balance sheet fit for a new world order with greater reliance on markets in a wider range of reserve currencies. The UK has been at the forefront of G20 reforms to create a global financial system that is safer, simpler, and fairer. Implementation is now being regularly assessed and transparently reported by the FSB and the IMF. Now is the time to reap the benefits of these enormous efforts. Platforms are being created for deference to each other's approaches when they achieve similar outcomes. With the three pillars in place, an open, resilient global financial system is possible. Having put in place the pillars of responsible, open financial system, we are ready for deeper global financial partnerships with the emerging economies that will be the most important drivers of global growth in the decades ahead. The financial implications of these developments are only beginning to be realized, but they are likely to be immense. In anticipation, the bank is already creating the new hard and soft infrastructure that the new finance will require. The bank is also ensuring our rules and regulations or soft infrastructure are fit for the new finance. The speech reeks with a sense of urgency. There is no talk about the US dollar and a future dominated by the dollar, but it's all talk about moving on to the new world and the circumstances of a new world, implying China, Russia, and the other emerging economies. Here's a question: what kind of talk do you ever hear coming out of the US Fed or the US Treasury Department? Is there ever about a new global financial system, like a reset, or is talk all about defending the dollar? If you think it's all about defending the dollar as world reserve currency, which I think, then the Fed, the Treasury, and by extension, Washington, are all going to go down kicking and screaming like the bully finally getting punched in the nose and dragged off the playground. What have we, the US, done recently with the global financial system? The only new thing we have implemented globally is increasing the burden and hostility with stuff like anti-money laundering and FATCA, which essentially punishes global banks and tracks down Americans working in foreign countries to send back income tax payments to Uncle Sam. That kind of stuff doesn't help anybody, but rather, it only creates hostilities, which is why the rest of the world is ready to move on. The type of economic prowess we have imposed on the rest of the world, through our banking rules, our dollar hegemony with the petrodollar, our use of sanctions and our ability to strong-arm other nations into compliance only stifles progress and makes people and nations really angry about constant over-encroachment from the US government. Finally, Congress, as dysfunctional as it is, likely assumes the dollar will just go on forever, just like Britain once thought. Or like France once thought. Or like even the P in PIEGS once thought. But reserve currencies don't last forever, and when the government removes the backing from gold and silver, the death of the currency really speeds up. We've been off any and all linkage to gold since 1971. We're overdue for a reset. And other nations know it, and they are actively preparing for it. Even allies like England are actively getting ready to move on. And they're telling you they're moving on. Right there in black and white. Here's the question, is the reset a rollout, like something that has to be fully implemented and done in stages? Or is it something that can be mostly implemented, as it is now, and thrust to the forefront because of some economic or geopolitical event? Because when the world's economy is both as interconnected as it is, and as fragile as it is, sometimes plans accelerate. And one of these days, on a Sunday night, or perhaps a Friday night, we'll find out. The announcement will be matter of fact, boring, and seemingly mundane. But come Monday, we will all be living in an entirely new world. Stack accordingly, $50.